Sup, nerds?
Sup?
Welcome back to the Fourth Wing. So that's a book series, not our podcast.
No. Okay, Violet.
In my defense, they're both numbers that start with F.
It's F and then WH. No, wait, no, it's not. Wing is just WI. It's.
Were you trying to spell fourth FWH?
No, F and then like wheel is like W, and so it's FW initials for both.
Maybe that's why I did that. I
Fourth
was
wing, fifth wheel.
So confident. Yeah, welcome to the Fourth Wing podcast. In case you haven't,
where we talk about dragons. And more dragons.
So Fourth Wing, if you haven't caught on, is about dragons.
Is it?
No, it's Formula One cars.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But anyways,
welcome.
Hey, this is what I get for calling our listeners nerds.
It is what you get. I bet they're pissed at you.
Well, I mean, we're nerds, so I feel like, you know, takes one to know one. I feel, anyways. But yeah, no, welcome back to the Fifth Wheel podcast.
Welcome back. I'm Hannah.
I'm Sydney.
She's not Violet.
No, and she's not Zayden.
No, I'm definitely not. That'd be cool though.
That would be really cool.
That'd be fun. I'd love to.
And this is a podcast about Formula One, not about books, although we really could do one about books if we really wanted to.
We really could. I did just finish the new Hunger Games book and I sobbed like a baby.
Yeah, I have to finish the one that I'm on, but then I'm going to read that. But yeah, books, Formula One cars, it's a pipeline.
The same thing.
Yeah, they're one and the same.
There's books about Formula One cars.
There is. I've read several of them.
I read one and I didn't like it.
I read the Lauren Asher series.
Yeah, I read the first one of that. And
the rest of them got better. The third and the fourth were my favorite.
Who are they about again? Because I was looking at them the other day.
There's a little bit of a debate. In my opinion, the first is Charles. The second is Pierre. The third is Lewis. The fourth is Carlos.
Okay.
But when I read them, I hadn't started watching Formula One, and so I didn't have anything to go off of. And so it's
like they combined Max and Charles in the first one.
I would agree.
Like they did like Max,
the look of Charles, but almost like the driving of Max.
And the horrible family.
Yes, I forgot.
Yeah, I was like, this is so Max coded.
Yeah.
But like they're not talking
But that
about
series
him.
is what prompted me to start Drive to Survive.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the Fifth Wheel podcast, where we talk about Formula One and sometimes a little bit books.
But anyways, yeah, it was Chinese Grand Prix weekend.
Yeah.
It was in theory a much better weekend than Australia. At least,
depends on your definition of better.
There were parts of it that were exponentially better.
And there were parts that were like triple exponentially
the
worse.
Lowest of lows.
The lowest of lows.
This truly was the lowest of lows and the highest of highs, especially for Ferrari fans.
I feel like I'm having more flashbacks.
Honestly, I think it's fair. To my sister Shelby's defense, she did try to warn us about some events that took place.
I'm glad that she did, though, because I think we were much more engaged with the race.
Yes. Yeah. Albeit it was a fairly, I don't want to say unentertaining. I was entertained, but there wasn't when you go from a rain race with rookies spinning left and right to a sunny normal race, it's a lot less eventful in the sense that not everybody's going off track.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it was the first sprint weekend of the season.
Yes, it was. Would you like to tell us more about that sprint race?
Yeah, so this was like part of our highest of highs. So yeah, the sprint, the Ferrari was on it for sprint quali. And then McLaren was up there, Max was up there, but Lewis put it on pole. So that in itself was just super fun because it was his first pole with Ferrari. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you know, I feel like Ferrari fans, we've been burned enough. We're like, you know what? At least we have this.
Yeah.
Hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Yes.
It was like, at least we have this. And then the sprint race was technically at 10 p.m. our time, but, you know, middle of the day in China. And so it was just really weird. It was pitch black in my apartment, but then it was bright for the race. You know, the whole time zone scene.
Yeah, yes.
Time zone thing gets real wonky.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so not a whole lot happens in the sprint race except Lewis Hamilton wins.
Woo! I don't know what that was.
Cue strobe jellyfish SpongeBob dancing.
Yes. Okay. I don't know if I can clip that in for copyright reasons, but we'll try.
But just know that that's the vibe right now.
Yeah. It was.
But yeah, exciting. I mean, it was so fun getting to watch Lou. I mean, he started on pole and drove away with it. I think he finished 4 or 5 seconds ahead of Lando.
He crushed it.
It was either Lando or Oscar, but nonetheless, he crushed it. It was an orange car. And to me, I was talking to, I think you and Shelby about it. Like, it felt so surreal to watch Lewis Hamilton's first Ferrari win.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there were a lot of haters and a lot of noise of like, why is he switching to Ferrari? He's washed up. It's the end of his career. And I feel like this was Lewis's really just big FU to all of the haters of like, yeah, I'm 40. Yeah, I can still win a race.
Yeah.
And so it was just really cool to, I mean, because that was a piece of F1 history.
It was.
I mean, Lewis Hamilton, you know.
First win at Ferrari.
And so, you know, the weekend had started.
Yeah, and that's a wrap. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. We'll catch you for the Japanese Grand Prix in a couple weeks.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
If only it were that simple.
Unfortunately, we do have to talk about all of the things.
Yeah, let's start with the normal parts of the race.
Yeah.
Okay, so first thing I have written down is Alonso had a brake fire, so he DNF'd, and Pierre was like screaming that into the mic for some reason.
Yeah, I think Pierre saw his brakes catch on fire.
He's like, Alonso, fire!
There was a lot of snitching.
There was a lot of snitching. I mean, there
really was only a little bit, but because Pierre called out Alonso's brakes, and then Max called out.
I was hoping it would hear it. Hold on. Wait.
Crispy. And then Max called out Charles's front wing.
Mm-hmm. Which we'll get to.
Which surprisingly, not a part of the downfall.
No, it really wasn't.
But yeah, so,
I feel like we actually can mention that because it wasn't part of the downfall.
No, if anything, it was a good thing.
Yeah, he part of his front wing. His front wing came off. He actually hit Lewis with it, or Lewis hit him. And it
basically
right off. Yeah, I was gonna say it's just like this little edge part right there.
And so people compared it to the George Russell T-pose, but with a hand missing.
Yeah.
So yeah, because that happened. Oh, I know how to fix that.
I'll fix it later. Ignore.
That happened, I think, sometime during lap 1. They got close.
Like in the first.
They brushed a little bit. But we didn't really even notice it until they zoomed in on Charles's broken front wing.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would have noticed if it weren't for Max.
Yeah, right. Like, Charles's front wing damage, and it was
like, where?
We're like, what happened? Because nobody crashed, and
exactly. And there was no debris that we could see.
Right, and so it was. But then you get Lewis's radio message of, "Somebody hit me," and then later you just see the meme and it's like the side eye of Charles.
Yeah.
It was me. Don't tell anybody. But yeah, so no, speaking of, I guess, his front wing.
Speaking of front wing damage, Yuki Tsunoda, his front wing broke for literally no reason. Like, they showed the replay, he's driving, and then it just breaks.
Because it was all of a sudden.
It was out of nowhere.
Nothing had happened. And
no
you
debris.
Just see, I don't remember if they temporarily yellow flagged it, but all of a sudden it just zooms in on Yuki's broken front wing. And like even the F1 TV commentators were like, we don't know what happened. I guess we'll wait for the replay. And then
the replay.
On the replay, his wing just broke.
And even then the commentators said, they were like, we'll wait for the replay. The replay goes, yeah, we still don't understand what happened.
Like, it just was like, you know what? Done for the day. I'm gonna it's time for me to clock out.
It ain't easy.
Like he said, throw on the shades. I'm out.
Yep. Pretty much.
Out. I mean,
that was funny. They replaced it. It was fine.
And you really, in that case, you saw what happens, 99.9% of the time you have a broken front wing. Usually
DNF.
When that happens, you either DNF or you're slow as hell.
Yep.
Charles said, you know what? Your car cannot legally slow down without your consent and a broken front wing.
Nope. Boy was fast.
He was cooking. He was faster than Lewis.
He was cooking.
So fast that they made him swap positions.
Which Lewis didn't really want to do.
Lewis didn't really. But Charles was faster with a broken front wing. Which doesn't make sense because Lewis was so much faster for the sprint race.
It was, yeah. But you know what? We'll talk about why that didn't matter in the slightest later.
Like pre-depression. I just know what's coming, and I'm so not looking forward to having to talk about it.
I know, but it's going to be like the focal point, and we need to like really...
We need to get all of the everything out because then we're just going to be sad.
Yeah, and then we're not going to want to finish the podcast.
You're going to have to cue the sad violin music. And then... Yeah, that one.
I'm going to try to clip it in, hopefully.
We'll see what happens. If not, y'all get the gist.
If it's copyrighted, again, sorry.
But yeah, I mean, it was a pretty clean race. I mean, the only retirement was due to Alonso's brakes just catching on fire.
Yeah. Yuki did say something else hilarious, and it was they were talking about like a plan for strategy tires or something.
Okay.
And they were like, Yuki, we are no longer going to do this. We're going to do this. And he goes, like, well, no, I like the other plan. And they go, we don't want you to. And he goes, well, I want to. And then they go, okay, do what you need to do.
And it was just, yeah, I remember that watching it. We were like, oh, okay.
He was just very much like, no, I don't want it. But I want it. And they were like, okay.
But Daddy, I want it.
But Daddy,
I want a squirrel.
I want a squirrel. Yeah, so that's how that went. That was funny. Yuki did okay. He didn't finish great, but comparatively to Liam Lawson, still better. There's some rumors we need to talk about.
Yeah, so we talked about it last week. Liam did not, I mean, he DNF'd, so he did not have a good weekend in Australia. And I mean, from what we had seen, last week was a bit of an anomaly just because it was a rain race, right? Mm-hmm. But evidence was suggesting that the Red Bull this year is not what it was the last couple of years. And that Max is just, because it's Max, he could drive a tractor to P1.
Yes.
And so, and it's, Red Bull is notorious if you don't deliver, sucks.
Yep.
And he qualified P19, but then they changed his setup, so he started from the pit lane. So he started in the last. Thank you. I forgot last.
That's a word. Mm-hmm.
That is the word.
One thing I wanted to touch on with this is there was an interview with Alex Albon about this, and he was talking about his experience in the Red Bull car.
Yeah.
And it's a long episode, but I'll try to sum it up really quick. He's talking about how Alex Albon. Mm-hmm. They both start with Al.
They do.
They're both weird Als. But Albon, he said that he prefers more of like a smooth drive, whereas Max is a little bit more erratic. And the thing about
real twitchy, right?
Yeah, I'll get there. So the Red Bull front wing is a bit lower, he said, and because of that, he said the best way to describe it is if you turn up the sensitivity on a video game and you move your mouse just a tiny bit, but it has like a huge movement, and that's kind of how the Red Bull car is. And if you're not that driving style, it's not going to work for you. Yeah. And he was basically saying that he kind of felt bad for Liam, and like it's just not an easy car to race in. And then on top of that, there's just other people saying like the only people that have any input into the car whatsoever is Max, and if it doesn't work for the other driver, it doesn't work. And I put here, I feel kind of bad for Liam because I think he was set up to fail. And there are rumors that Yuki might replace him, but also I don't want him to do that because I think he'll be set up to fail. I think it's just going to be a rotating door. It's
the curse of the second Red Bull seat.
It is.
Like I don't think anyone will thrive in that second Red Bull seat until Max isn't there.
Yeah. And someone said like comparatively, like Checo didn't do too bad.
No, well, not once we knew that the car was not great. Max was just Max.
Toto knew the whole time, y'all. Toto had Checo's back.
Why? He had it printed out or something, right?
Yeah, well, he goes, sorry. If you got a problem, change your fucking car. You change your car because Checo's been saying the car's fucked.
I have it. I have it printed out.
I have it printed out.
Speak to my drivers.
Yeah.
That was a gem that DTS gave us in the
it was so good
season 7.
So thank you, Toto. You've been a real one.
But no, I think I agree with you. I mean, I think we got into it a little bit in the last episode of, like the Liam debate of like thoughts on him. Do we like him? Do we not? And I think if anything, I don't not like him. I do want to like feel as if I'm in his corner per se. But if anything, I think at this point, I feel bad for him.
I do.
And I don't, but unfortunately,
he's too smug.
And I just don't think he's doing himself any favors. And so it's like, I feel bad to almost, I don't want to say jump ship, but I feel like I'm in the lifeboat right now about to head out because it's just, I don't think, yes, you have to have that cutthroat attitude to, I think, even be in Red Bull. But I think he's kind of crossing the line a little bit instead of towing it.
Yeah.
Where I think he was towing that line for a while.
Here's what it feels like to me. He is in a sinking ship right now, and instead of trying to patch the hole and scoop the water out of his ship, he's trying to shoot holes into Yuki's ship to sabotage his chances of getting that Red Bull seat.
Which I think to a degree I can understand.
Yes.
But
he's sinking.
It's not doing himself any favors.
Exactly. And I think I do feel bad for him. I would feel less bad for him if he wasn't sinking his own ship at the same time.
I agree. But I think it, end all be all, 2 races in a yes, he has raced previously for RB, but not in the Red Bull.
No.
I mean, anyone who has driven both has said how different the RB is from the Red Bull.
And I think Red Bull's jumping way too quickly to conclusions.
Yes. And it's like,
it's been 2 races.
It's been 2 races.
It's not enough time.
One of which was a rain race.
Yeah.
Yes, he qualified poorly, but it just...
But it was raining all weekend.
It was, yeah. Well, and you're never going to get... My coworker and Matt and I were talking about this at work today. And I was like, the fact that they could potentially only give him 2 races is crazy. And he goes, they like to do them dirty, talking about like the second Red Bull seat. And then goes, I'm very much looking forward to the day that Max pieces out and they fully realize how irresponsible it was to build their car around one driver.
It really was.
And
it's shooting them in the foot now.
Yes. And I think that's why it's been curse of the second Red Bull seat, because when you build a team around a singular driver, what's going to happen when that driver goes away?
Bad things.
I mean, it's Red Bull, so they'll recover, but it won't be quickly.
No, it won't. And like, I mean, that was the perfect way to put it. It's like they're building an empire for someone that will not be there forever. So,
and it's like, I mean, when you look back to when they won the handful of championships with Sebastian, you had, I think that was the Mark Webber, and I'm trying to think who else was in that second Red Bull seat. I know it was Seb and Matt or Mark Webber for a while, but it was like you had 2 drivers and you gave them chances. It's like you didn't have less. Yes, you had your number 1 and number 2, but it wasn't like number 1 and half a driver.
Yeah, and with the whole Checo situation, I think it was a little. I think that he was set up to fail due to the car and all of that. Yes, but it was at that point, I think, fair to get rid of him because he went an entire season without performing. 2 races, especially for such a new driver that has shown really good potential otherwise, is, to be quite frank, fucked up.
It is.
It's fucked up.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't care who you are. And that's I think, really part of why I do feel bad for Liam is it's potentially career ending.
It is. Because
the driver market, I think, is so competitive these days that he could very easily be done. Where it's like, you had Alex and Pierre had luck and, Alex went to Williams, Pierre went to, I think he went right to Alpine afterwards. Or after he was in, when it was RB was AlphaTauri and then went to Alpine. But it was like there were open seats, and it just, I hope if Liam does get, I mean, that's the thing. If they replace him with Yuki, they're just going to swap that seat.
Yeah.
But it's, what's Red Bull going to do if Yuki in the Red Bull doesn't work out? Throw Isaac in there. He's the definition of a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, they're not doing themselves any favors.
They're not. And the worst part about that is, like we've already said, Liam's not doing himself any favors, but especially if there's not going to be a seat open for him when he gets kicked out.
Yeah.
He needs to have a better attitude and like be a more respectful driver if that's going to happen. Can I kind of respect like the mindset, the Max mindset? Yes, but like he's not going, you can tell he's just young and is trying to,
and I think that's
brave.
why I'm, I don't want to say I don't like him until he truly does give us all a reason, is because he's what, 21?
Yeah, that man's frontal
He's a
lobe is
child.
not even close to fully
He's a child,
developed.
for all intents and purposes, he's a kid. And so, I'm trying to think of it, like, give him grace. I mean, he's a kid, and this was his first full season. And to his defense, he has more pressure on him than probably anyone else on the grid.
That's very true.
I mean, that second Red Bull in itself is a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
And
they're gonna explode.
I think and
I hope they do soon, respectfully.
I mean, Max. But yeah, I guess back to the race. Max, he didn't struggle, but because it's Max.
There was a few times that he did, though.
But he, the car, where last season or even the season before, where it doesn't matter where Max qualifies, he's probably going to win. I think he qualified 4th or 5th and finished 4th, or did he? Yeah.
It was I think he finished 4th.
Yeah. I mean, but he didn't improve exponentially. It was,
no.
I think the Red Bull car is not great, but because it's Max, he's going to consistently be top half of the grid, where it could be a mid-tier car. And that's why Liam's, it's just, there's a whole lot of things I think we just don't know yet, because we've only had 2 races and one in normal conditions.
Yeah. It'll be a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
So,
but I think other than that, like during the race, there were some really good overtakes.
Ollie Behrman crushed it.
I was so impressed.
He had at least 3 that I remember.
And they were all, I think we noticed it on the first one. He would overtake on this hairpin turn on the inside line, and it was like braking late, and it just was such a pretty overtake.
And confident.
So confident.
For someone his age.
Yes.
And in a Haas.
That
like it looked like an experienced driver.
Yes. And it was like, I think once he figured out, he's like, oh,
that works for me.
That works there. And he did it 2 more times. Not only was the overtake impressive, but his just nonchalant response as he passed someone.
Ciao.
Yeah.
And that's how he said it too. He wasn't like ciao. He was like ciao.
This man, I mean, nonchalantly passes these drivers and ciao. Like, it was just such a funny response.
It's ridiculous in the best way. I stinking love that kid. He's so great.
I feel like so many of the rookie, like, I'm so protective over them.
I know, they're my little babies.
And I think we really were already kind of fell in love with Ollie last year, just with the whole Carlos appendix thing, and then which that was crazy.
He got like P7 in a Ferrari as like an 18-year-old, right?
Yeah, and got called up middle of the weekend.
Yeah.
So Ollie Behrman was in F2 last year, which I think he still had a pretty decent season, but Carlos, his appendix decided to peace out.
Yeah.
And so Ollie was one of their reserve drivers, or was the reserve driver for Ferrari that was there that weekend, because there was also an F2 race. So Ollie had just put it on pole for the F2 race, finds out, hey, so you're not going to race in the F2 race. You've got like 3 hours, and then you're qualifying, and you're going to race tomorrow.
Yep.
And he did so well.
Boy, did he.
And it was just, I remember just being so giddy for this person that I had no idea existed until like 24 hours prior.
I was so impressed with him, and I still am.
Which was why I was so glad when he got a seat, even if it was the Haas seat, which we talked about during the race. I think, what was it? I think it might have been Parker who said it, that best of the rest, I think, could potentially be between Williams and Haas.
I would agree. Yeah, Haas, they have been crushing it so far, despite rain and stuff. But I don't know. I think last race for Williams, like this past one in China, was good and bad.
Yeah.
Carlos had it rough this time, but Albon stayed up pretty high for like a lot. He was the race leader for like a good few laps,
which was really cool to see.
I know.
I mean, we know
like
it was just because of the whole pit stop thing, but still.
So was Stroll. So
Right. And it's like, I mean, that's 2 weeks in a row. Alex made it to Q3.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Carlos has been struggling in the Williams a little bit, but I'm hopeful in that it's just him getting used to the car.
Yeah.
I mean,
have
he
to have
had
hope.
3-4 seasons with Ferrari, and now he's at a whole different team, still learning. And so I'm hopeful. I think Williams has shown I mean, and Carlos ended up placing higher than, I think he qualified 15th, but then
Yeah, I think
he finished 11th or
something like that. I don't
12th
think
maybe.
he didn't have
He made
points.
up a couple of places.
Yeah.
But it was, he definitely, I mean, granted he crashed last weekend in the rain. So anything was going to be better as long as he finished the race.
And he did. And that's all we can ask
of. But yeah, it was, a somewhat uneventful, but a good, like, driving race.
Yeah, definitely. Stroll did actually really good. I hate to say it, but Stroll did really good.
I will admit there was a 5-minute period where the three of us were, I mean, I remember like just point blank, I was like, I will begrudgingly admit that Stroll is driving well right now.
Yeah. And
because it was after a round of pit stops, wasn't it?
Yeah, he just stayed out.
He stayed out, and I think it was when George came out. And it was like one of those of, I think Lance Stroll or George Russell of old would have resulted in a crash.
Oh, yeah.
But he did well.
He did really well. I was
that
impressed.
Man was like hugging them hard tires and was like, we're gonna rock with this.
Yep, he was. And then let's go to our orange cars. So they're quick. Lando, towards the end there, his brake pedal,
oh my gosh,
just decided to not be there anymore.
Yeah.
And he still got P2.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was one of those, you could tell in his radio messages that I don't want to say he was scared, but he was freaked out. He was not, like, he was like, this is a problem. I'm letting you guys know. And it was a problem for probably like the last 10 laps,
probably
10 laps or so.
Yeah.
And, I think it was George was P3.
He was.
And so he was gaining on Lando.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked how well the team kind of talked him, like, I don't want to say talked him off the ledge, but it felt like they
talked him through it.
They talked him through it. Yeah. Of just like it's going to be fine. Like, here's what we can do, like, you're almost there. Like, it was really cool to see.
Yeah. And he was planning on like hunting down Oscar. And that plan kind of got thrown in the garbage with that. However, it's like you said, they were like, here's like the rate of which it is,
mm-hmm.
and like here's what you can do, and also better to finich at all and in like P3, P4 than to not finish.
Yes.
So I think that was kind of the turning point for him, where he was like, you know what, you're right. Like it's still
not
my
worth crashing out.
Yeah.
When right now it was a podium.
It was a double podium.
And it stayed a podium.
It stayed a double podium.
And Oscar, I mean, we haven't really talked about him because he led the whole race.
Oh yeah, he
was crushing it. I mean, I think he ended up winning by like a 4 or 5 second margin.
Yeah, it was going to be less initially with Lando chasing, but it ended up being like 4 seconds.
I mean, the McLaren, they got it right into last season, and it's, Ferrari can get their shit together. I would like to think it could be a battle for the constructors, but it's going to be, I think, hard to beat McLaren. It's for anybody to beat McLaren.
I think, especially with how Max has been doing so far, I think we are looking at a McLaren World Driver Championship.
Yes.
But you never know, because things change. Because that's what we thought with like Max initially, and then like Lando started catching up.
It wasn't until, I mean, so who knows? Because it wasn't until after Australia last year that, because that was when Max, I think Australia was race 3 or 4 of the season, and it wasn't until then where his brakes caught fire and it kind of started that snowball effect. But if last season taught us anything, is don't judge a race season by the first 2 or 3 races.
Definitely. And I did, so Sydney spent the night Saturday night so that we could wake up early and watch it. And
because the race, mind you, was at
2 a.m.
2 a.m.
No.
So we watched Pride and Prejudice.
And then went to bed. I did sleep in my Piastri bracelet, hoping that it would give us some good juju for the race. And for him to have won with me sleeping in the bracelet. Like, I was asleep wearing this when he won. So I think it is my fault that he won. I think
Which
it's all
I'm
on
okay
me.
with. I'm okay with Oscar winning.
Oh, me too.
I
I love
love
Oscar.
him.
He's now my second favorite
I
driver.
love baby girl.
He is
Love
my baby girl.
So maybe let's just wear a Ferrari bracelet to bed next Grand Prix.
I don't want to be that delusional. You know what I mean?
That's
I did
fair.
make one.
It would work. No, you're right, because it would work for literally any other team or driver except for Ferrari.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the luck could be brought with any other team, but
No,
not
you're
Ferrari.
so right.
So that's why I'm not going to do it.
That's why we're so delusional, is because we know nothing else will work.
Exactly. So Oscar won. That was his third win. And then, so Ferrari ended up in P5 and P6.
Yeah, they did.
And that's the podcast, guys. Thanks for listening.
Done. Podcast over. It was great. They finished in the points. Double points score for Ferrari.
It was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we must continue. There was a triple disqualification this race.
And
for Pierre Gasly.
Who were the other two?
Just both Ferrari drivers. Just like the whole Ferrari team.
Yeah.
1 kilogram underweight.
Yeah. So if you haven't caught our drift, both Ferrari drivers got disqualified, and Charles' car was underweight, and then Lewis's skid block. So under the Ferrari, or under all of the F1 cars, is literally like a plank of wood, and they take a measurement, I think, before and after the race, and if your skid plate has like eroded essentially too much and its thickness has changed too much, you can get disqualified for that.
And they did.
That's what happened to Lewis.
And my thought process with like the 1 kilogram underweight, I'm wondering if that piece of the wing would have fixed that.
Well, didn't you read I saw something, or it was what you read, where they weighed it after the race and it was 800 kilograms, which is the cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
But then they said, oh, well, that's without the front wing piece. And then I think drained the fuel and brought back the front wing piece. Whatever they did, car weighs $7.99.
Which is crazy, just 1 kilogram.
1 kilo. I mean,
that fucking sucks.
And I get, rules are rules, right? You have to have that cutoff point somewhere. But like both of them?
But both of them.
The only thing, it would have been worse if not that I'm glad Pierre got disqualified.
But it would have been worse if it was just Ferrari.
So much worse if it had just been the Ferrari drivers. Because then it's like, come on. And I will say, the only silver lining is it meant double Williams points.
Yep. Because,
since, both Ferrari drivers are no longer in the points, Ferrari got no points again for the weekend, except for Lewis. That Lewis winning the sprint is the only reason Ferrari isn't like at the bottom of the constructors right now.
Correct.
So I will count my plus.
Yeah.
But
doesn't Lance Stroll still have like more points than Ferrari?
I think Lance has more than Charles, or Lance is above both Ferrari drivers, but Aston is not ahead of Ferrari in the constructors anymore.
Yeah, because Alonso, oh my gosh, I just realized he hasn't even finished a race yet.
He hasn't.
He crashed he was a rookie crash in race 1, and then rookie brake fire in race 2.
Which so at least Ferrari's ahead of Aston.
But not Lance Stroll.
Yeah, sorry, Walter. Look, Ferrari's ahead of Aston Martin now. I love you, Walter. I'm sorry making fun of Aston Martin. I'm not really, but
I'm not.
I am a little bit. Our Coda Turn 1 friends, mine and Shelby's, they're Aston Martin fans, so I won't hate on them. I won't hate on Aston Martin. Too much at least. We gotta find some joy in the despair. And so, mind you, like Hannah had said, I spent the night. We slept in, stayed off. So, like, I woke up, swiped all of my notifications off of my lock screen, and we started watching the race. And my sister, so cryptically, texted us and was like, hey, there's a piece of information that do you want to know a piece of information that will change the race or how you look at it,
how you watch the race,
and the consensus among Parker, Hannah, and I was no, because then we're just going to be worried about that happening the whole time,
or we're not gonna
because we assumed it was something that happened during the race. We thought it was like
a crash or something
that took out a favorite driver, or heaven forbid somebody got hurt, like something big. And then the race keeps going,
And nothing's
and
happening.
nothing has happened.
And we're like, it has to be like within the last lap.
And
then the last lap comes and goes.
And so, of course, we then check social media. First thing that pops up. Disqualification. And and our initial reaction was, man, well, I wish I would have known that before we watched this whole race. But then we kind of took a step back.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been as fun.
And I think the consensus was, yeah, I know at least I would have just been mad.
I would have been,
knowing that, I mean, because Ferrari had as good of a day as I think they could have for the way that the car was performing. Yeah. And just knowing that, you know, they had a much better weekend than they did in Australia. Not the best, but still a much better weekend. Just for them to get disqualified. I think I would have been miserable watching the race.
I think I would have too. And that's why I made those jokes at the beginning, like, oh, like the front wing broke, but he was fine. And then Lewis didn't really want to switch. But it's like, it didn't end up mattering at all.
And I'm almost so mad because what do you mean Charles was faster with a broken front wing? And then for what? It's like he did and you know, you're allowed to change your front wing at a pit stop. It just adds like 5 seconds to your pit stop.
And they chose not to.
The whole entire race with this broken front wing.
Yeah. And I think that given that we didn't know about the disqualification thing, I think that was a smart move because what if he crashed?
Oh, it turned out to be such a, you know, what could have easily been a Ferrari clown strategy move turned out to be the right call because they kept asking Charles do you want us to change it? And he's like, no, we're fine.
Like, let's wait until it bothers us.
He was quicker than Lewis.
Yeah. So,
it just was.
If we didn't seem like we were the most enthusiastic this episode, I think it's because we're both kind of mourning.
We knew what we were going to have to talk about. It was just such a losing anytime one of your drivers or your, you know, team's drivers gets disqualified. It's almost like it just hurts. But to lose
both in one race. Not even like during the race. If they had both crashed at different points or something, that's one thing. But like to go the whole race and then after, it's like, oh, that was for nothing, by the way.
Like it just sucks. And so when we were talking about these highs and lows, there's this Ferrari meme where it's a circle.
Here, text it to me real quick.
And yeah, it is quite literally just a circle. And so it is the Ferrari logo 4 times. And it's basically a circle. There are arrows going in a circle. So we have we're back, and then we have we're so back, and then we have it's over, and then we have it's so over. And then that's truly the cycle of being a Ferrari fan. Mm-hmm. And we were talking before we started filming of after Australia, we were at it so over.
Yeah.
It was a bad weekend for Ferrari.
Yep.
But I think we were still delusional enough at the time to like try and pretend that it wasn't it was a bad week. Australia was a bad weekend for Ferrari.
So we're back was sprint qualifying.
Yeah, because Lewis put it on pole. It was awesome. We were great. We're like, we're back.
And then we're so back. Lewis wins
the sprint race. Like, really, there was only a small margin where it was like, is Oscar going to overtake? And then the Ferrari was Lewis was on that day. We were so back.
And
then qualifying, it was all right.
Was that the it's over moment, or was it was the wing and then they just didn't place well?
I think it was, Charles'
just combination.
Wing. You know, there were a whole bunch of little things. There wasn't one, I feel like, defining moment of it's over. But it just was like a whole bunch of these little things during the race of we're like,
just the clown strategy.
Can't fight for a podium during this race. It's over.
And it's so over was when they said none of that mattered.
You're disqualified. You're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
But hey, the good news is we're back is the next step.
Thank God.
So something good's about to happen.
But it's just the fact that in a single race weekend, the
entire cycle. Oh man, yeah, that was crazy.
That in itself is being a Ferrari fan. I mean, there's a reason this is a meme. And last weekend we were talking of I would follow Ferrari to hell and back. I just wish Ferrari would stop going there. But it's, sure, we could have picked a team where that doesn't happen as often.
But what's the fun in that?
And I love being a Ferrari fan.
It's so fun.
My mental health hates it.
No, yeah.
But man.
Well, also, like, I think what's so fun about being a Ferrari fan, too, is it's not like, it doesn't feel like a bandwagon team because they're not always winning and because it's so, like, chaotic. And I think it makes, as much as it stresses us out, it makes for more interesting racing. It makes for more noticeable changes and strategy and things like that. And I think it is something that when it comes to, like, just understanding motorsport, when you have a team that's doing good all the time, it's easy to just kind of take that for granted. But you can notice, like, different changes and things like that. So when a team isn't as good.
Like, that was, I know, like, when Shelby and my sister got into F1, I think initially we did latch on to Ferrari because we both really liked Carlos and Charles. But then it was the more we watched, we're like, no, we'll always follow Charles and Carlos wherever they go. But Ferrari is our team. And so even, was that your stomach?
No, that's the chair
that was
squeaking.
The chair. It sounded like
also,
a gurgle.
I just realized that it's been squeaking a lot, so
I haven't heard it until just then.
Okay, I've heard it every now and then, so I might... If you hear a squeaking sound, it's my chair. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, no, anyway, like, I can't bring myself to be mad at choosing Ferrari. It's been so fun, and I think what the way you said it just perfectly encapsulates it. Like, it just... They've been around for so long. They have had, I think it's just Ferrari's MO. Like, there's a reason that meme of the cycle is it's the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, often
low.
Weekend. Often low.
But
I will say, I truly, I know I've only been in the sport for a few years, but I think the team under Fred is a night and day difference from the team under Binotto.
Oh, agreed.
And I am hopeful. You know, it's like we said, we can't judge a season based on the first two races.
No.
And so I'm still delusional. It's just like a depressed delusional. I think we just need Ferrari to have a good weekend.
I think we do too.
Please,
I'm begging.
I beg of you.
I think one thing that's really fun too is just like, it's like that quote we've talked about in the past, like, even if you're not a Ferrari fan, you're a Ferrari fan. And the fact that, like, Lewis Hamilton, one of the best drivers of all time, is at Ferrari. And then it's just like, it's Ferrari red. It's exactly what you think of when you think of, like, what's a great car in general, not just F1. And it's just fun. I don't know. It's exciting. And I think, because I was a Ferrari fan from, like, when I started watching Drive to Survive as well, like, when I started getting into F1, just because I just was drawn to it. And one, I was like, I'm Italian, I need to go to the Italian team.
It's just such this, they draw you in.
I know they do. And I enjoy the ups and downs as much as they upset me at times. And you can see I have my Ferrari light. If you're listening, trust me, bro. But, like, I don't know. I think it's been a defining experience of me being an F1 fan. So.
Yeah. And it's, as much as I can hear
Toast is playing in the bathroom.
Cat Toast, he loves playing with straws.
I hear that straw
and
echoing.
You can hear the straw in the bathroom.
Yep. I trimmed an entire paw of his last night, his nails at once.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
He's normally like, you get one or two and then you got to come back for it
hours later or days later. Yeah.
Wow.
So we got a whole paw.
But nonetheless, it was a very, I mean, we've said it time and time again, but it was a very roller coaster of a weekend, at least for us. But I think overall, just from a general,
it was kind of like a kiddie coaster, though. You know what I mean? For everybody else, Ferrari fans were on the big end. Oh yeah, they're on the
like must be this
the Iron Rattler.
Welcome to the Iron Rattler. That is our favorite roller coaster at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, and also the group chat name between myself, Hannah, Parker, and my sister. Yep. It's great. We love it. We have a good time. I digress. Yeah. But, like, the rest of the week, it was a good Grand Prix weekend.
It was a good Grand Prix weekend. And
I think, you know, not so much on the chaos side, like the race, but there was just good driving. There was good overtakes.
It was an F1 weekend.
It was an F1 weekend.
It was great.
And just a little bit on the extreme.
Yeah, but you know what?
It's the way the cookie crumbles.
Maybe we'll get all our bad luck out of the way at the beginning.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna put out there.
Please. Or just give us like a few really good ones in a row to like balance it back out.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta complete the cycle again and again, don't we? Let's pray that the next cycle is really, 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 really slow.
Yeah, can we just stay on the like
But we're back
we're
and so
back
back.
and we're so back for most of the season?
Honestly, I wouldn't even mind like it's over as long as it's not it's so over.
Yeah.
So
Because that's the thing, we were on It's So Over with the end of the race. It was just the post race.
You mean that it's over?
Yeah, it was just a punch to the gut.
It wasn't a punch to the gut. It was like a stab to the abdomen.
Repetitively.
Twisting.
Yeah.
It was a serrated knife.
Yeah. That SOB hurt.
Yeah. Oh, I hear Toast. He's trying to break open the door.
He sure is. Hi, buddy. But anyways, yeah, no, I think that it also is a good thing that we have a week off before Japan.
Yeah, we need some time to recover.
We need some time to we need some R&R.
We need to pay our respects.
For real. Maybe we are going to have ravioli for dinner tonight, so maybe that'll like appease the Italian.
Okay, I'll make sure to make my ravioli with extra grief.
Dude, I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here. This is
like Toast is.
That was unfortunately really good.
Do you also put your straws in the toilet?
Can't say I do.
Oh, well, you'll get there one day. But yeah, so we're gonna make ravioli tonight, and Sydney's going to
ravioli.
Give me the formuoli.
And what am I going to do?
I don't even.
We're making ravioli, and then
Yeah, I know, but
I'm already having an existential crisis.
We'll just continue doing that then. She's good at that. I am too, but she's better at it at times.
We love being two anxious girlies.
It's
fine. We're fine.
And we watch a sport that's like super anxiety inducing.
What do you mean? It's so calming all the time.
Low key, but why is it so calming?
It's like the chaos. We're finding the calm in the chaos.
Yeah, it's like an art form.
Right.
And by art form, I mean like it's definitely
it's
like
a Picasso painting.
He cut his ear off. It's a Van Gogh painting.
It was like that was
no, it's Van Gogh.
Okay,
but it's like a Van Gogh painting. There's pain involved there.
Yeah.
But hey, that's what makes art, right? You must suffer.
Art is pain.
Art is suffering.
Art is suffering.
I mean, both are true.
Yeah. But anyways, I mean, it was a good weekend until it wasn't.
Yeah.
But it was. Yeah. I want to like sum up in a positive way, but it's so hard.
You want to know? Here's how we can sum it up. You ready? We're gonna go eat our ravioli now.
We are gonna, yeah. Let's go make dinner.
All right,
let's go make dinner. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thanks for watching or listening, and
we'll catch you next time.
It's lights out, and away we go. Woohoo!
Whoop whoop!
All right, I'm hungry.
Yeah, let's get some ravioli.